I'm a manager, get me out of here.
7 games, 7 losses at home.
Very brave.
I hope he's not watching this, sorry.
Can Blackburn stay up this season?
I'm not bothered. I do not care.
I think Sheffield United will finish above Norwich this season.
I don't.
Do you have a wager on it?
Yeah, alright. What do you want?
20 quid?
Done.
Hello guys and welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled podcast brought to you by Betfred. Today I'm joined by Callum Fowler and Ian Herbert from the 4,000 Holes Blackburn Rovers podcast. Pleasure to have you on, Ian. We've got a lot to talk about today, including a few manager sackings. I'm a manager, get me out of here. We're going to do Cov deep dive as well and look at Blackburn Rovers. That's why Ian's on the show, but we'll come to Rovers later on. So Callum, we've got to start with Middlesbrough. Rob Edwards couldn't get out there quick enough, could he?
I don't think it's that bad. I ain't got any joke for you, sorry. I couldn't get one out in time. I do not think it's that bad. No. Rob Edwards leaving. He started really well, hasn't he? But the form has dried up a little bit. Like last 5 games, the goals haven't been there as same. I don't think they're creating as much going forward. And if there's other names out there, and especially like, is it AD? What's his last name?
Sorry.
Yeah, who were at Coventry as well, and it were apparently a lot of success behind Coventry, and then coming here and Wales are doing the same thing. Maybe he might be the man. Yeah,
he took charge of the win over Birmingham this weekend, 2-1 as well. Birmingham have done pretty well recently, 2 4-0 wins in a row. Any thoughts on Borough and Rob Edwards making the move up to Wolves?
Edwards didn't even manage to last at Borough as long as Eustace lasted at Rovers, did he?
There you go.
That's my angle on that. It now makes John Eustace look incredibly loyal. I'm surprised he's jumped ship. I know he has history with Wolves, and that's obviously the factor that has tipped him over. But he's barely been at Middlesbrough and made, I would say, a really, really impressive start. And you can't help but think they have a good chance of swapping places at the end of the season.
Can't blame him, can we? Really? It's Premier League money, innit? I know he's got 100 games for Wolves, so it's not going to keep him in a job if he goes down anyway. I wouldn't have thought. No. But you can understand it from the money side of things, especially if they're tailing off a little bit now.
I think from his point of view, this is a perfect chance.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all.
No, because Borough have made a good start to the season, as you allude to, but they did tail off in the last couple of games he was there. He's been given an opportunity to go back to a club that know him well. They're going to have Premier League money. If he does stay in a job and they come back down to the Championship and Borough are in the Championship next season, you'd rather be Wolves manager, wouldn't you, than Borough manager? You're not sure?
Maybe in principle, because you're coming down as a Premier League side, but I don't think it'll be one where they come down and go straight back up with if they break Derby's points record, they're not going straight back up. That's where I put it. 2 points in 11 games or whatever they've got now.
But we're talking about them as if they're already down, and they're not.
Come on. Come on, man. They might as well be. Do you think they stay up? A sliver of a chance? What odds?
I think there's a small chance that they stay up. I don't think Rob Edwards is a miracle worker, but
he'd have to be to keep him up.
I think wasn't there a stat on Match of the Day too that said there's a 9% chance that they'll stay up.
There you go, 9% chance.
I think that's 8 too high.
That would be my take. That's quite generous, but there's always a chance. But crikey.
What about Borough then? Because they've lost their manager. You don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
No.
We'll talk about replacements potentially. They've won this weekend, which I think is a massive, massive win 100%. For them in the club. Haidee Vivash at the end celebrating, whipping his arm around, getting the crowd going. We don't know if he'll be in the frame for the job at all, but I think they've still got a chance of promotion this season.
Oh yeah, well, are they second still? I think
gone
maybe Stoke. Oh yeah. Obviously, but you'll bet Stoke. Yeah, they've obviously got a chance, and it's quite a weak league when you look at teams that are in and around it. You look at your Millwalls and Prestons, sides that haven't got the biggest budgets ever that are still up in and around it, and your Southamptons and Norwich a lot further down. So there's a chance for someone like Middlesbrough, who are a big club, but I don't think anybody really thought they've got a cracking chance really when you look at like Coventry and Ipswich and Southampton and Leicester and that. I think they've got a chance at doing it. I think this has probably helped them, honestly. I really don't think it's that big a deal. I've really done.
A couple of names in the frame early on as we're talking. Carlos Corberán, Gary O'Neill, Steven Gerrard, any of those catch right? Tony Mowbray as well, I believe, is linked.
Mowbray would be the sentimental one, but as I understand it, he's got some medical treatment due, and that might preclude him from being able to take the job immediately. Mowbray would be an incredibly safe pair of hands. And I speak of experience. I don't think a safe pair of hands is what Middlesbrough need right now. I think what they need is somebody who's going to get them up and who's going to take the chances. It's the same managerial merry-go-round, though, isn't it, at the moment? I think of those names, I'd probably be more inclined to look at Gary O'Neill than anybody else.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Talking of Gary O'Neill, he's also linked with the Norwich job because Callum, he's finally gone. Liam Manning, he's lost 7 out of 7 at home, lost to Leicester 2-1 after going 1-0 up. this has to go down as one of the most disastrous managerial spans we've ever seen in the Championship.
100%, 7 games, 7 losses at home. Shocking, isn't it?
What I'm saying, shocking there, by the way. You managed to not say the word I thought you were going to say.
no, pull my punches on that one on here. I do think there's an element of being unlucky though, same as Will Still to a certain extent at Southampton. He can't run up pitch and put ball into net, and if someone like Sargent is missing from 5 yards tap-ins when he'd get like 15 normally, I don't think that is a Liam Manning problem, but ultimately results are what keeps you in a job, aren't they? And if you've lost all 7 in front of 30,000 of your own fans every week, they're going to get you out even if Board don't want you.
It's massive impact, isn't it, if you're losing that many games at home? The writing's been on the wall for a while, but it's the fact they're second bottom of the league. I think they got 9 points, I think, from 15 games so
shocking.
far.
It's a real surprise. The resources they've got and the talent that they had in the squad, the fact that we're above them and comfortably above them with the trials and tribulations that we're having, and we'll get into that, I think it shows the depth of the problems that they've got.
And Josh Sargent, as you mentioned, one of the best strikers in the Championship. We've just not seen it at all, and this is the issue with what we've seen from Manning as well. But it does feel like also, as you mentioned, Manning's been a problem, but there are wider problems at that football club. There's protests where the directors, the recruitment in the summer, they spent a decent amount of money. They can go down. They can go down, can't they?
Yeah, of course they can. But when you're talking about spending a lot of money, they've brought a lot of money in as well. I think they're significantly in profit for someone who, attendance-wise, the one at best, probably turnover the one at best, just money in general. And you look at other teams that are in and around same sort of financial situation. Someone like West Brom spent a lot of money this season. We aren't making loads and loads of sales, really. Norwich are millions in profit and should be spending that amount anyway, with size of what they are. I know that parachute payments obviously dried up now, and you've got other teams that spend money. But I understand the frustrations towards top Norwich fans, definitely.
Yeah, and there's a couple of managers linked with returns in the frame as we speak, as we record at the minute. We've talked about Gary O'Neill, who did play a bit of Norwich. Daniel Farker's in the list as well, and Russell Martin recently.
Oh God!
You don't like either of those names, no? Daniel Farker, I think, if he gets sacked by Leeds, we don't know what's going to happen there. He'd be the best of the lot, though, wouldn't he? If they could get him back, they wouldn't get him back, would they?
They might. I wonder how many people realistically they could get that's better with more experience. Whether it would be wise for him to go is, I think, a different question entirely.
Russell Martin?
No. Please God, no. No, he's rubbish, man.
But he's got the club history. We talk about Rob Edwards at Wolves.
But he'd also played at Rangers and he's gone in and been one of the worst managers ever. Russell Martin is awful. I hope he's not watching this, sorry, but like he
got Southampton promoted from this level.
I'm not bothered. I do not care. He got him through playoffs behind a League One team that had come up. With is it second most expensive squad value ever, and he limped over through Championship playoffs. He's done nothing anywhere else ever. He's been mid-table at a lot of clubs, but because he's got 60% possession, everybody just loses their mind. It's a crap manager.
Is he the poor man's Vincent Kompany?
He's worse. He's miles worse than him. At least Kompany's got. At least you're a decent player.
Kompany's doing really well at Bayern.
There's that and all. Yeah.
That's my case.
Michael Carrick is another manager we should probably talk about in the frame, probably for a few of these jobs, because he's got good experience at Middlesbrough. Are you more favourable to Carrick than you are to Martin?
Yeah. Well, it can't get worse. I don't mind Carrick. He's obviously not going to. Well, they'd be daft Middlesbrough if they went back in for him again. With type of manager they want to go for. I think Carlos would be much better if he does end up getting sacked at Valencia or
but
Gary O'Neill. Yeah,
Norwich would potentially be a good fit for Carrick.
Yeah, because they're trying to go to a more that style, I guess you could say, Norwich. But I just don't think Manning would write. Maybe not the right timing, like financially, because Bristol City, even though he did a really good job with him, financially they are not what Norwich are, and same as like egos and just the talent pool and squad depth and stuff like that. So I think it was maybe a bit too soon for Manning. I do think he's a good manager though, and I think if like Portsmouth, Stack Mussini or something, one of them ones, I think he'd be a really good fit for somebody like that. Or Blackburn.
Why do you think?
Current state.
Why do you think it went so wrong for Manning though? Because they paid a decent amount of money for him to get him from Bristol City, and he's not been able to win a game. Is it just too much change? That's why.
It's a high turnover. And if you look at like Bristol City, I think the strongest area is midfield by a mile. And when Norwich are losing someone like Nunes and a lot of other players that are in and around it, I'm just not overly that keen on it middle at Park for Norwich. I think that is probably the weakest area from one where we were strongest at his other one.
Absolutely. We're going to now talk about a bit of the weekend action. We have to start at the top of the table, of course we do. Of course I'll have to introduce that as well. Coventry, massive 1-0 win at Stoke. I'll come to you first, Ian. Frank Lampard is absolutely smashing it. 8 wins out of the last 9 for Cov, 5 points clear. What have you made of them so far from a neutral?
Well, I was at Coventry when you beat Rovers 2-0 a few weeks ago, and I thought in the first half we acquitted ourselves pretty well, to be perfectly honest, and I was quite surprised that you didn't cause us more problems. And then in the second half, you did cause us problems, scored 2 in 2 minutes, and I just got the sense then that Coventry didn't need to get out of second gear to see that home, and you sort of thought, yeah, there's some class there. Lampard is a guy that I think he's been very brave in taking that job, and he's getting the rewards that he deserves for taking it. I think Coventry City I was bowled over by the pre-match atmosphere building and the way that they get the crowd energised, and clearly there's a feel-good factor around there that is absolutely terrific. That said, I said similar things about Southampton 2 seasons ago.
Oh, no. What have you said that for?
Where the pre-match atmosphere was really, really good, but it didn't translate in the Premier League. But that's next season's problem for you guys. I think you're looking really, really good, I have to say.
This was a massive 3 points. Obviously, first versus second, the way the game panned out, 0-0 for 85 minutes, and then to have that winner through Mason Clark, it just feels quite pivotal going into the international break.
Yeah, it's huge. Like you were saying then, I think a lot of sides, including Blackburn, like Wrexham obviously had a few chances against you. Watford, you probably said the same thing. It's not as dominant as it were at start, I don't think. I think that's fair to say with Cov, that they're not just having more expected goals by miles and 25 shots and stuff like this. But like Ian's just said, they don't need to get out of first gear. They just are that good, Cov. They don't need to completely dominate it. If it is a very tight, edgy game, Coventry have got players that have just got their moments in them, like that goal, a scissor kick or something in 85th minute. It's just no other teams looks like they've got that at minute. That Coventry have
difference makers, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the ability to just contribute something at the vital time.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got it in abundance.
It looked very, very good from the away end. I can tell you firsthand. I've had a smashing weekend. Let's put it that way. After 15 games, got a couple of stats for you, by the way. First of all, you mentioned not dominating teams. Coventry now actually have the most clean sheets in the Championship this season, which caught me a little bit by surprise, given all the talk has been about going forward and attacking. Also, after 15 games last season, Sunderland and Sheffield United had 31 points at the top of the league. Leeds had 29, Burnley 27. Both of those finished with 100 points. Cov this season on 34.
Well, it's a consistency thing, isn't it? And Coventry obviously don't lack that, even going into last season. This has been a thing since Lampard took over, even before that. I think specifically at home, the losses that you've had, going back to just
Leeds and Burnley.
This calendar year, Ipswich in Cup, who were Premier League side, were Leicester.
Leeds and Burnley we lost to last season.
Exactly, 3 Premier League teams then, because them two got promoted and Ipswich in Premier League at time. There's no one at that level that you can play in league, I don't think. Obviously, you lost to Wrexham, and that's just one off. Nobody's going to go unbeaten, I don't think. So, I'd be shocked if you don't go up. Not to put it on you like that.
Hope so, indeed. Let's look at a few of the other results as well. There was a game at Deepdale between Preston and Millwall, Callum. 1-1 it finished. It seemed like a draw from the outset. I think I predicted a draw for this one as well. But can either of these two teams finish in the top 6?
For Millwall, Preston?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Well, looking at the standard league, obviously you've got Ipswich in 7th now, and they're like you'd expect them to be in there, wouldn't you? Birmingham down in 11th, you've got Leicester in 12th. They're not a million miles off to say these teams haven't really started that well by their own expectation. But Millwall especially, they've had a lot of injuries. They've got a lot of starting 11 injuries as well to that team that got a point off Preston. Yeah, they took advantage of a mistake, but both sides did. And I agree with most draw ever won it, really.
You see the Everson error?
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Pass back from Negley for Smith. Not really good finish from Smith, by the way. Preston to little dinkum of it keeper. I think both could. I hope Millwall do, though.
You're a big Millwall fan, aren't you, really? Secretly?
Yeah, I do like Millwall.
You're good.
I'm not going to hide it.
These two teams, Preston in particular, were probably in the Blackburn category before the season started. It's not panned out that way, has it?
No, seeing Preston up there is a bit disconcerting, I have to say, because we look at that club and we sort of think, look at what they're achieving with the resources that they've got. Surely the same is available to us. And clearly, we'll get onto it in the next part. But Preston are optimising the resources that they've got. They're our next league game. That's going to be a very interesting fixture for us, I think. And I use interesting in every possible connotation of the word.
Heckenbomb's doing an absolutely fantastic job. They're unbelievable. Another team that deserves credit, Hull City. What have we made of them so far? Because they've got a 3-2 win over Portsmouth this weekend. I think Jakirovic, we didn't know anything about him really before the season. He's doing so well, and they're scoring goals now even without McBurney.
Yeah, well, that's what I like, though. The play like you'd expect in Ipswich or Coventry to because they're not that cracking defensively. I think that goes without saying when they've conceded 24 goals already. But they don't set up in a defensive style because of the hole and they're in a transfer embargo, and they don't just sit back and woe me. They're going for it. They're shoving a lot of men forward, and they've scored 26 goals because of it. Second highest goal scorers in the league. They're really exciting side to watch. I do like watching them, and that's why I'm at Bernie.
Yeah, exactly. And on the flip side of that, Portsmouth have actually been kind of dragged into it a little bit. Really, really poor form. And I know they've played quite a lot of the stronger teams lately, but this game against Hull was a chance for them to get a point. I know Murphy's back. He got a good assist. You see them dragging into the mix. They're below Blackburn right now.
Well, yes, long may that remain so. I think the philosophy of Rovers fans at the moment is that Sheffield Wednesday have booked a spot, and it's looking like 2 from 4 or 5 on current form. Now, obviously, there's 2/3 of the season still to play, so a lot can happen and all the rest of it. But Portsmouth were one of those pre-season when you sort of say, who can Rovers be better than? And you sort of ticked off Portsmouth, Oxford, a couple of people ticked off Derby, some people ticked off QPR, and obviously Derby are doing quite well, Dan. So they seem to have just elevated themselves above that relegation scrap. So yeah, we're keeping a close eye on Portsmouth's form.
Absolutely. One team that is starting to cook, if I use a phrase that youngsters use, Ipswich Town, 4-1 away win at Swansea. I think they also won the last away game 4-1 as well. 2 own goals from Cameron Burgess in this one to help out his former side. They are, for me, title contenders, not only...
You would say that.
Yeah, of course I've got to say that.
You've got to bring somebody else into it, haven't you?
They are going to really get involved in the mix, I think, for promotion.
Yeah, it worked. I think they won 4-1 against QPR, if I remember that right. But I think both results were flattering to them as well. I don't think they've absolutely battered everybody recently. I think out of recent results, because they've won 3 and drawn 1 in the last 4... count then.
Good maths.
Quick math. And the draw at home to Watford, and I think that's probably the best that they played, and they just weren't clinical enough. You got players like Jack Clark and Philogene and these boys that just did not in Premier League, but then they come down and they look a step above everybody. That finish from Clark and Swansea's top draw, and yeah, they got lucky with Burgess, but they're just being clinical, and I think that's what they've lacked in a lot of the games that they've not won so far. I think they're playing the same really in a lot of the games, but they've just not been clinical up until now.
There's a double header, interestingly, between Coventry and Ipswich in December. They play each other twice in, I think, 3 weeks. Are you on the same boat as me? As you think these are probably going to be the top 2 at the end of the season? Or?
Well, I think Ipswich recruited for this season 2 seasons ago, because they seem to buy all the best talent in the Championship.
Jack Clark,
when they were promoted. Sammy Smodics, dare I mention it. And
he's
he can't
been
get in the team. Well, he's been injured, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's struggled with injury and all the rest of it. But as a squad resource, something like Smodics, that's just an extraordinary level of strength in depth. So I think Ipswich pre-season, I had them definitely in the promotion conversation. But yeah, they should really be in the automatics.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Now we do need to talk about Blackburn Rovers, but Callum, I'm going to come to you first because we should touch on Derby County. Eustace getting the win at Ewood Park. 5 wins in a row. They are absolutely flying, and I think this is the team that maybe we expected at the start of the season. They've just taken a while to get going.
Yeah, I agree with that. They've had a lot of injuries as well, haven't they? Like defensively, I think Eustace have done really well to tighten that defence up like he has done, because Langas is a top player, but a lot of them other defenders I'm not overly keen on, and I think he does well to get out of him what he is doing. I just really like him going forward. Morris is outstanding, and he's scored goals. Barnes at Luton, even before that, and now at Derby, he's just scored for fun everywhere, and he's such a good striker. But having him and Aguiman as it's just front 2 in it. It's proper old school. Aguiman comes off left a bit, I know, but 2 big physical strikers, and they're getting best out of something like that. I don't think defences know how to deal with something like that anymore. It's
big investment, isn't it, at the top end of the pitch? What was Aguiman? He was like 7 million or something.
Yeah,
and
like
obviously Morris is proven.
Yeah.
But when you spend big in that area, you want goals. Yeah. And Carlton Morris is now 10 goals in the Championship, level with Thomas Asante. Can he win the Golden Boot this season, you reckon?
Maybe. I think you know what you're going to get from somebody like Morris. He's just good at everything. But both feet and all, which I think is underrated, and especially good in air. Another thing that a lot of strikers just aren't now. I think it's just a lot of
penalties as well, which is important in the race.
Of course it is. Well, he got an hat-trick against Sheffield United, didn't he? And I think just the manner of them goals, specifically just in that one game, just shows what he is. And none of the other ones are really pulling away that much. Like we said, Sargent ain't doing that well, really. Madger's on bench for West Brom.
Had you right to hit a bit of a dry spell?
Yeah. Well, he's going to be up there, though, isn't he? You can't get away with that one. But, I expect Morris to be up there. And this is for a side that's 10th at minute. They've not even done anything yet.
No. On the Blackburn... Sorry to have to do this, Ian, to you. I really...
Put some salt in there.
What went wrong in terms of this game for Rovers this weekend?
Well, I think our we were concerned about it from the final whistle against Bristol City because Toth went off just before the end and he's going to be out for 10 weeks. Scott Wharton limped off. He's going to be out for probably 10 to 12 weeks. We're already without Todd Cantwell. So you were looking down the cliched spine of the team and it looked desperate. When the lineup was announced, it became apparent that Ryan Hedges, our left winger, was playing left-sided centre-back. So I think Rovers fans looked at it and thought, ooh, this could be interesting. And the excuse that was given for that was that Ismael wanted extra height in the defence because he felt that Derby had an aerial threat. Well, it didn't work. Let's put it that way. Both goals came from Derby attackers beating Rovers defenders. Yeah. Hedges wasn't at fault with either of them. So I think we're always going to be up against it. I think we had to start with lots of energy and on the front foot, and we did neither of those things. And as soon as Derby scored, you just got a sense, crikey, this match is only going in one direction.
Absolutely. And from an outside point of view, it feels like the feeling around Blackburn is always kind of a bit negative because of the Venkies. How do you see it from your point of view on what they can actually do this season? Just try and stay up?
I think 21st is success. Really, I'm looking for your approval. If you've got a Blackburn fan, you might as well ask. But I think 21st is definitely success. But I think I'm biased though because of Ismael and obviously the Barnsley success we've just spoke about before. That's what he's living off still. But I think he's doing a good job right now. The last 3 games that they've had against Southampton, Leicester, and I forgot the other one, Bristol City. They've won all 3 of them games against sides that are much better than what Blackburn are. I think he's suited to being an underdog, and that's exactly what Blackburn are, really. I don't know what else you could do, really, apart from point further upstairs than Ismael, really, with Blackburn.
I think that's fair. I mean, I could go on for hours about Venkies and all the rest of it, but the watchword at the club this summer was cost reduction. It was all about reducing the wage bill, getting the high earners out of the club, and bringing in younger players with a view to developing them and selling them on. So to turn over so many players and to lose over 1,000 championship games and then gain experience from our squad and bring in a selection of players from all parts of the globe, essentially, and throw them together and just hope that it works is a very, very high risk strategy, to be perfectly honest. But I just get the sense with Venkies that they don't care if we go down. It's kind of like it's more important that we break even. And fair enough, if they're the owners, it's their prerogative to do that. But if that's their aspiration, that's the extent of their ambitions, just sell us.
I've got to say that's the exact same as what Barnsley were. Exact same. When we got Championship playoffs with Ismael, he obviously left season afterwards and as captain left Moat and all this. And our owners did the exact same thing. We were selling a lot of the better players that we had. We weren't going for experience, and we were bringing in a lot of Belgians and players from other leagues that were nowhere near to stay under the Championship, and just hoping it worked because the wages were cheaper, and we finished dead last and we're still in League One. So it feels like a carbon copy of what's happened to us.
I think last time we went down, Mowbray had taken over sort of in the February, and we almost stayed up by a whisker. I think we went down on goal difference in the end. But there was a prevailing sense in the mood amongst the supporters and the club that, well, we're only going to be down here one season. We are coming back. If we go down this season, I think the fear is that there'll be even more sales and that any of the bright spots this season. So you look at Balash Toth, who's done very, very well. Is Todd Cantwell going to play in League One? No, I don't think so. So he'll go. And you're thinking, well, what will we be left with in League One then? And it's a lot of young, unproven players trying in what is a brutal division to get you back up. So this season could be pivotal for Rovers. If we don't make 21st or higher, I really worry about the future.
You mentioned about Valerian Ismael. How is he doing with the Rovers fans? Is he fairly popular? I saw him on the touchline at Cov, and he was very loud indeed and very demanding of his players, and he's obviously an imposing presence. He's done well at Barnsley, and he's and he's had a reasonable career. Is this a good fit?
It's really hard to judge him, given everything I've just sort of said. Given the turnover of players, if you're sort of almost like imagine running a Sunday morning team. And you think that the 15 players that you said goodbye to in May will turn up again in August, and it's who are you guys? Who are you? Why are you here? We're your new team boss. He's had to try and shape something together, and is he making the most of it? I'm not entirely sure he is. Is he to blame for our predicament? Categorically not. And I think most Rovers supporters will sort of say you've got to give the guy a chance, and I'm absolutely in that camp. The problems at Blackbrun Rovers do not start and end with Valerian Ismael. They're a lot higher than that. Is
it the case of also Blackburn couldn't get anyone better or couldn't afford to get anyone better even if they got rid of him?
I think it's the second point.
Yeah, would you agree with that?
Yeah, but at the same time, I just maybe it's just my bias creeping back into it again. But I think Ismael, in the 4 jobs that he's had in this country, Barnsley, Blackburn, West Brom, and Watford, he's had relative success with Blackburn so far. I think you could say being 19th. He was obviously successful at Barnsley, and he didn't really pull any trees up at West Brom and Watford. 2 sides that have got a lot more money and a lot more expectation. I think with an underdog, which is what Blackburn are this season, I do think he will ultimately keep you up, I would say.
This is going to sound really negative, but is it only a matter of time before Blackburn are relegated to League One?
Well, I think you look at the trends, and the league table is usually a function of your wage bill. Your wage bill is usually a function of the attendances that you get and the revenue that you generate. There's a lot of Rovers supporters are voting with their feet because they've kind of had enough, and you just see attendance figures dropping downwards. That impacts on all other income, match day revenues and the commercial possibilities. So you think Rovers are just on that slide now that's going to be really difficult to arrest without somebody sort of saying, right, we're going to have to invest. And the days of the signing the likes of an Adam Armstrong, a Ben Britt and Diaz, I think are long gone. So there is a sense that if we slip the noose this season, yes, I think there'll be more trading, there'll be more players leaving, the same model used again. Inevitably, you just sense that wage bill drag will bring us down, and we could become the Lancashire equivalent of, say, Rotherham United, where you're perfectly stable, but in a division lower than we are now.
That's bleak, isn't it?
Yeah, for someone like Blackburn it is, yeah.
If you're on the Premier League, eh? I wanted to talk about the sale of Dom Hyam, because it was one that caught me a little bit.
It caught Rovers fans by surprise as well.
A little bit. The fact he went, obviously former Coventry player as well, went to Wrexham. Yeah. How big a miss has he been this season?
Well, we were actually recording an episode of our podcast when somebody said, hang on a minute, lads, we might need to comment on this. What's that? Dom Hyam has signed for Wrexham. You're joking. So I liked Dom Hyam. I thought he was really, really effective when he played alongside someone with experience. So you may recall we signed McFadzean just to give him that older head. And then last season, Danny Bart played that role. And when the two of them together, they were fantastic as a unit. Selling him so late in the window, not replacing him, and then deciding 4 or 5 weeks into the season we're going to play with 3 centre-backs.
That's why you end up with Hedges at centre-back.
Well, we've got... Hayden Carter, who's had injury problems. We've got Scott Wharton, who's had injury problems and was just coming back from injury and has got injured again. And so now we end up with Ryan Hedges playing left-sided centre-back. And it's a cause of deep concern. But the absence of Hyam and Danny Bart together as a unit, I think, has been massive in our defensive problems this season.
Todd Cantwell's been a fairly successful signing, I think, for Rovers. He's now captain. We've seen his quality before. You mentioned he's probably not going to stick around if you get to League One, but what have you made of him so far this season? And he needed to find his love again for football because he went to Rangers for a bit. He kind of fell out of love with it. He did really well in the Premier League for a bit with Norwich. He's just an interesting character, I think.
Yeah, I quite mixed for
mixed
me.
reviews.
I think he's a good footballer. I won't say I necessarily like him. I think he's one of them ones. I'd really like him if he played for my team. Yeah. But he's one of them that from outside, I just think he flops on floor all the time. He's one of them ones. But you could do with something like that, can't you? Buy your fouls and all that. But I like him as a player. I do think he's one of the only bright sparks that Blackburn have probably got. Really, it's just negative, isn't it, all the time speaking about him.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Oh mate, I've been there a long time. But I like him. I do like him.
Him getting the captaincy seems a bit interesting from the outside.
Let's try and put it in perspective. I think when he came, he spoke very, very highly of John Eustace and said that Eustace had sold the project and he was very clear and he's in alignment with his manager's views, this, that and the other.
So he's going to Derby in January.
Well, I couldn't possibly comment. So when Eustace left, I think a lot of Rovers fans, myself included, expect him to leave in the summer. I thought that might be his excuse to cut the cord. I get the sense that he was given the captaincy as a sop. To sort of like say, Todd, we love you. Back that arm round the shoulder. He needs a bit of TLC and all that sort of stuff. Is he a natural leader of men? No, I don't think so.
It feels a bit Sunday League where your best player's your captain. Yeah.
It's a bit like the cricketing analogy. The guy who sort of like scores all the runs, you're making captain, but he's got no tactical nous or leadership. He is just your best player. So I think that was a sop that was given to Cantwell to try and keep him ingratiated, shall we say? But he's been injured. He had an ankle knock. And he's been out, and 1 week has led to 2 weeks, led to 3 weeks, led to 4 weeks, and that doesn't strike me as someone who's up and at them, rousing the lads,
and especially when they've got armband on.
Absolutely.
So I think he's a luxury. I used the phrase once about Bradley Dack that he was an elegant solution to a problem that we don't have. I think that now applies to Todd Cantwell as well.
That's a lovely comparison. What a wordsmith you are. I'm right. I'm going to finish this little Blackburn chat with can/will Blackburn stay up this season, Callum?
I think so.
There you go. There's a bit of positivity. Come on, Rovers.
End on some positivity. Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I like Ismael. I think he's a better manager than what's below him as well. Personally, with some teams that are down there, and just the underdog aspect, and I think that is what he's like. But I look at, if we're going into this, I look at Portsmouth and Oxford and worry about them more than I do Blackburn.
Yeah, we won't go too far into it, because on the Sportsman Untitled Extra coming out on Friday, we're going to do a good little link to that one, wasn't it? We're going to do a full relegation chat between the three of us. We did promotion and the playoffs last week. We're doing relegation this week because we've got a Blackburn Rovers guest on, of course. Will Blackburn stay up there? How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling nervous. I think we can stay up. Categorically, we can stay up. A lot will depend on what happens in January, because there's already rumours, as we said, about let's not forget Sondre Tronstad as well, who was so influential in our midfield alongside Lewis Travis. Travis, of course, gone to Derby. Tronstad is rumoured to be leaving the club, if not in January, certainly in the summer. And if we do the same as we did in the summer in January, then I think we're going to be in trouble. Before the season, we did look at the likes of Portsmouth and Oxford and sort of say, well, hopefully them and Sheffield Wednesday will book the 3 spaces. But I'm with you, Callum. Right now, I'd shake hands on 21st. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's great stuff. I need to ask for your help at home. If you support Stoke, Millwall, Charlton, Hull, Leicester or Preston, do get in touch in the comments, because we're looking for guests from those clubs to feature on the show. You could be sitting here next to me, and maybe even a big celebrity like Callum Fowler if you are lucky. Right, I've got a quiz question for both of you. It's not really a quiz question, it's just a question. Which Championship manager, because it's starting this week and we're doing a bit of an I'm a Celeb theme, which manager would you like to see in I'm a Celeb, and who do you think would be really good at it as well?
I'd like to see Valerian Ismael.
Oh God, yeah. That would be something like that.
He'd win the whole thing. He'd just eat anything, wouldn't he?
Well, quite. I think it would be interesting then to see how Rovers cope without him. Then we could answer that question about, is he any good? Is he making a net difference positively or negatively to the side? So, yeah, let's put Big Val in there and see how he copes.
You're not allowed to copy that answer, Cal.
Oh, I'll go Wilder then. I want to see him suffer. I'll put Wilder in there.
I was going to say, I thought Liam Manning's got a bit of time on his hands now, and that's a bit harsh, isn't it? We're going to do a few general questions now to round off the show, because we're 15 games into the season. We're about a third of the way through. So, Callum, for you, what has been the biggest shock in the Championship so far? Can be a player, can be a manager, can be anything you think.
Ooh. But probably the standard at playoffs at minute, the sides that are up there. A lot of the smaller budgets are doing really well. Preston and Hull, I think, to really narrow it and go home on them. Yeah, Preston and Hull, 2 sides that I think everybody probably had as like bottom sixers, especially Hull. For them to both be in playoffs and do what they've done with such a limited budget, I think you've got to admire something like that.
The topsy-turvy nature of the table has been a real shock. What about you? Have you seen
It's the teams in red and white stripes. Because I think Sheffield United are down there when I didn't expect them to be. Southampton are down there when I didn't expect them to be. And Stoke City are up there. And I'll be honest, I didn't expect them to be up there either. Yeah. Hull City being in 5th makes our 3-0 win away at Hull look especially good as well. So they're giving us a bit of reflected glory on that. But yeah, I think Stoke, Robbins is a great manager, you'll know. I think he's doing an excellent job so far. But Sheffield United, I live in Sheffield. My window cleaner is bereft at their lack of wins. So that's a deep joy when he comes around to clean the windows, and we end up talking about football for half an hour rather than cleaning the windows.
Well, living in Sheffield, you must be feeling quite good about Rovers, given they're the 2 teams.
Well, quite, yeah. It's giving me the ability to walk around the city centre and hold my head high, which is I didn't expect to be above both the sides. I think Wednesday's trials and tribulations are well rehearsed, and you've got to feel for their fans. But I think at least they've got some light at the end of the tunnel. I think Sheffield United will get out of there. I can't see them being in the bottom 3 at the end of the season.
I know, we said that about Luton though, didn't we?
I know, it's but there's something about, I think they've got a good enough squad to be 16th, 17th at least at the end of the season.
I mean, they were playoff finalists last year. They probably should have won the playoff final, absolutely. But this is a bit of an overlap, but the surprise package in terms of maybe one club or one team. Don't say Preston and
what, I can't have either of them.
You can go on.
Honestly, Norwich then.
Yeah,
Norwich.
In a bad way.
Oh yeah. Well, no, it can't get much worse, can it? You'd have to be on a minus to be last. There were obviously a lot of turnover and stuff like that, and new manager, so it was going to take a lot anyway. But I think they're 10 places lower than everybody thought they'd be, at least.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously Southampton have moved up the table, but there was a point where Southampton, Sheffield United and Norwich were 3 of the bottom 4, and in most people's pre-season predictions, they could have been 3 of the top 4.
Yeah. But like Ian just said there, you sort of know that these teams are going to get out, really, budget-wise, and you just think, you look at someone like Derby, we're still so early into the season. Derby were looking over their shoulder not too long ago. A good month, and now they're 2 points off playoffs. Like, it's still so early that you put a decent run together, Sheffield United or Norwich, and you forget what's been happening for the first quarter
I'm
of the
so
season.
much less convinced about Norwich than I am about Sheffield United, and I don't
Really?
know why. I just think there's something going on behind the scenes there with the owners, the directors, the protests. Yeah.
I think you could say about Sheffield.
Yeah, okay. I think Norwich's recruitment has been a far bigger overhaul, and I know Sheffield United made a couple of changes in there, but I think Sheffield United will finish above Norwich this season.
I don't.
What do you want? Should we have a wager on it?
Yeah, all right. What do you want?
20 quid?
Done.
There you go.
Get in. Yeah, I think Sheffield United could. I think they'll stay up, but I think they're in more bother than Norwich are. I really do.
All right, so
that squad is nowhere near built like in right areas. I think they're so top heavy in certain areas. They haven't even got a right back. The best centre back, Tanganga, plays at right back from Sheffield United. They've got a limp to January.
Yeah, but they're doing this without Hamer right now, and
and without Wilder as well. Because obviously, if they don't get Wilder, they'll get top 6. You know what I mean? It's just that easy.
Is Wilder going to be in the jungle though? That's the issue. How's he going to manage from Australia?
Oh, we went off track there. I don't even know what we were talking about. Surprise package for you, Ian. Did you have one for me?
Well, other than the clubs that we talked about, I think Charlton fans must be feeling quite relaxed. Yeah. I think that the fact that they've got off to such a start suggests that they're comfortably going to avoid relegation. And as we said, pre-season, you look at the 3 teams coming up, and you hope that they're going to be booking in the booking hall for the relegation spots. And Charlton haven't played the game, sadly, so they seem to be get off to a really, really good start. So fair play to them.
Nathan Jones in the jungle, eh? Missed out that one, didn't we? We're 15 games in. For the next 15 games, who are your dark horses? We've seen Derby rise up the table with 5 wins in a row. I'm presuming now you're going to say Sheffield United, Callum, no?
Absolutely not. Dark horse. Can you even have Southampton as a dark horse, really, with like money that they've got?
No, but how high could they go if we're talking?
I think they could be top 6 at Christmas. Southampton, what is it, 6 points, something along them lines? It's not too far away. My honest answer, I would probably say Stoke. I think they could be top 2.
Do you think they're going to keep it up?
Yeah.
Any particular reasons?
Obviously, the defence speaks for itself. You went and won 1-0. They've got best keeper in league. I think they've probably got best defensive structure in league. They'll spend some money in January and all, like the size and who they're backed by. And they don't have loads of chances every game. I don't think they won like you are in Ipswich, for example. But the chances that they do have are very good, I think. So I don't think Stoke are too far away from really competing for a full season, where I think Middlesbrough might slide a little bit.
I still think they might need another number 9 just to challenge Mababa. I think they get a lot of crosses into the box. I think Sorba Thomas is amazing. I think Millian Manhoff's had a really good start to the season. I think
that right back's top quality and all that.
Chamada, he's unbelievable.
He's
but I just think they need something different up there. I think maybe January could solve that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens to Stoke. What about you for the next 15 games? Are you going to say Blackburn for me?
That would be quite the talking point, wouldn't it? I'd like to, but I don't think I can. I mean, looking at the table, from 7th to 18th, there's kind of like 6 points.
Yeah.
So any one of those sides, and we've talked about almost all of them in the conversation that we have, could do a Derby County, win 3 or 4 on the bounce, and sort of find themselves up there. I'm inevitably drawn to the sides with parachute payments, because I think in January you can flex the checkbook and make a difference. So we've talked about them already. Southampton you'd expect to come through. Are they a dark horse? Not really. Leicester City still might. It depends on the prevailing points deduction.
The fact we haven't even mentioned them on today's show, I think, speaks volumes. I know they only beat Norwich, and Norwich were the big story, but Leicester are really odd this season. And the fans are getting a bit frustrated with Cifuentes, calling them a bit boring. They got a win this weekend, but I don't feel like including them in the promotion chat right now.
They're 5 points off though, aren't they? They don't create loads. They did okay against Norwich, but a lot of Leicester's goals, when you want highlights of these games, they're off from edge of box. It's like they're very good at the first initial build-up phase, but then when they get to the final third, I just feel a little void of ideas a lot of time, and it does just feel like we're just going to hit it from here, because they've got players to do it. But going back to it, I think a serious number 9 is what Leicester are lacking, really, because everybody behind them's top quality.
Yeah. When we played them the other week, that they were nowhere near as incisive as I'd expected. Is it Fatawu on the right side? I mean, that guy's class, there's no doubt about that. But to your point, who was he going to give the chances?
It's Ayew and Daka, isn't it, up front? And their new lad they're playing recently, but neither of them are particularly...
But if they get that right, say 4 or 5 points off, that's 2/3 of the season to go. That's easily a gap that can be closed.
Absolutely. Other way though, I think Swansea could be involved, you know.
Yeah.
Swansea a little bit. I think Sheehan could be really, really in trouble. They're poor and all. I think there's just such a boring watch, and I think Swansea fans are really starting to get tired of it now, because they've spent some money and they've had a really good transfer window. They have bringing in like your Burgess on a free transfer. They spent a lot of money.
Franco's good.
Yeah, obviously Vipotnik started really good and very clinical to start with, but once he's not going to keep that up for a full season. I don't think he's that good. And then once his goals have started drying up, they all have really, like him and Ida as your two strikers.
Why they spent big on Adam?
I have no idea. Well, they need a striker. I think they just got desperate, didn't they? Really, and it's not like Swansea. They're really calculated, really, for the budget that they've got. But I think they might be in a bit of bother as well.
I think they'll have just about enough individual talent to avoid the bottom three. But anyway, this is for our relegation chat, which you can see on Friday on the Sportsman Untitled Extra. And we're going to finish today's show with, if you could change one of your pre-season predictions, what would it be? Ian, I'm going to come to you first, and based on what you thought would happen at the start of the season.
I thought Will Still would rip it up and Southampton would romp to the title. Ha! What do I know?
Well,
how many points are Southampton off the title? But Will Still obviously didn't make it happen. A real disappointment, I think. I think I'm with you. It's just, he had all the hype coming over and he just didn't deliver in terms of results.
I really genuinely expected that he would make an impact there, and he did, but in all the wrong ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Statistically, they were all right, actually, in terms of the underlying numbers, but couldn't get any points on the board and they had to part company. Callum, looking forward to this one. What did you think?
Well, all of mine are wrong. If not,
you had Wednesday bottom. Come on, give yourself some credit.
Get in there. And I had Coventry top 2, actually. Just want to put that one in there as well. And Millwall in playoffs, so there's a few there. I don't want to go for an Laura Preston because like everybody's sort of got that. I had Watford going down, third bottom, because I just think their owner's a nutcase. And to be fair, they were doing all right, and then he sacked him. I just didn't think that someone like Gracia would come in and do as well as they have. But I think they genuinely now, I think they could be a shot at top 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone like Loser, he's one of the best players in the league. He's incredible.
He is. I don't know how many players there are better than him in the league in general. I think he's so impactful for them. How many goals has he got in his last 5 games?
I think he's got 9 goal contributions in 12 games. He's mad.
Absolutely.
Like a box-to-box midfielder.
Unbelievable. I don't know where I should start my predictions. They were absolutely terrible. I think I had Wednesday bottom, and that's about the only one I've got right. I think I've had Norwich in the top 6. Sheffield United probably had about 3rd. Yeah. I think I had Cov in 5th as well, so maybe that's one. But I think it shows what a topsy-turvy division we've had so far this season. It's so good to watch. Thank you both for joining me on the episode. Hope to have you back soon. Make sure you like and subscribe. Get your comments and thoughts in down below. But we'll see you on Friday for the Sportsman Untitled Extra.